The desperate call, the last hope of Aquatica. Prime. The crystal-clear waters of Aquatica Prime had turned a sickly green color over the past few months. Ambassador Kaya floated in the central council chamber, her translucent fins trembling with worry. The other members of the High Circle gathered around her, their bioluminescent patterns flickering weakly in the dim light. "The radiation storms are getting worse," announced Chief Scientist Nemo, his voice carrying through the water with urgent bubbles. "Our atmospheric shields can only hold for another few weeks at most." The Zephyrians had lived peacefully in their ocean world for thousands of years. They were gentle beings who looked like a cross between jellyfish and dolphins, with flowing tentacles and intelligent eyes that glowed softly in the depths. Their entire civilization was built on harmony with nature, using only biological technology that worked with their aquatic environment. Ambassador Kaya's heart sank as she watched the readings on their biodisplays. The cosmic radiation storm that had been approaching their system for months was far worse than they had predicted. It would strip away their planet's protective atmosphere and boil away their precious oceans. "How many can our evacuation ships carry?" she asked, though she already feared the answer. Elder Finn, the oldest of their kind, swam forward slowly. His ancient body showed the wisdom of countless years, but also the fragility of their species. "Our bioships were never designed for long-distance travel. Each one can barely carry 100 individuals, and we have only 12 vessels capable of interstellar flight." The mathematics were heartbreaking. Their population numbered in the millions, but they could save only 1,200 at most. Whoa. Rest would perish when the radiation storms hit. "There must be another way," Kaya insisted, her bioluminescent patches flashing with determination. "What about the old archives? Surely our ancestors left us something for emergencies like this." The council members exchanged glances. Deep in the ancient archives, buried beneath centuries of peaceful history, lay technologies from a darker time. When the Zephyrians first reached the stars, they had encountered hostile species and built defenses. But as they found peace and joined the Galactic Union, those old ways were forgotten and abandoned. "The emergency beacon," whispered Elder Finn, "but it has never been tested. We do not even know if it still functions after all these centuries." The emergency beacon was a relic from their ancestors, designed to send a distress call across the entire galaxy. It used quantum entanglement technology that could reach any corner of known space instantly, but it had been sealed away for so long that none of them were sure it would work, activating ancient technology. 3 days later, a team of their best technicians worked frantically in the deepest part of their underwater city. The emergency beacon sat in a chamber that had not been opened for over 1,000 years. Its biomechanical components looked alien, even to the Zephyrians, combining their organic technology with harder, more durable materials. "The quantum crystals are still stable," reported Technician Coral, her tentacles carefully adjusting the ancient controls. "But I cannot guarantee how far the signal will reach or who might receive it." Ambassador Kaya floated beside the device, watching as it slowly came to life. Patterns of light began to pulse through its crystalline core, growing brighter with each passing moment. "We have no choice. Send the message on all frequencies in every language our databases contain." The message was simple but desperate. "This is Aquatica Prime of the Zephyrian people. Our world faces extinction from cosmic radiation storms. We require immediate evacuation assistance. Our population numbers 2.7 million. Please, anyone who receives this message, we beg for your help." As the beacon activated fully, sending its plea across the galaxy, none of the Zephyrians realized that their ancient technology was far more powerful than they knew. The signal traveled not just to the civilized worlds of the Galactic Union, but to distant sectors that had been marked as dangerous and unexplored. First contact with the unknown captain. Sarah Chen was reviewing supply reports aboard the UES Thunderstrike when the distress signal reached them. The massive human vessel was 3 months into a deep space exploration mission, searching for new worlds and resources for Earth's expanding colonies. "Captain, you need to hear this," called out Communications Officer Rodriguez from his station. We're picking up what sounds like a distress call, but it's using quantum frequencies we've never seen before. Sarah moved to his station, her military bearing evident in every step. As one of Earth's most experienced starship commanders, she had led missions to hostile worlds and through dangerous space phenomena. The Thunderstrike itself was a testament to human engineering, a kilometer-long vessel designed to handle anything the galaxy could throw at it. "Play it back," she ordered. The translated message filled the bridge, and Sarah felt her heart clench at the desperation in the alien voice. A dying world, millions of lives at stake, and apparently no one else was helping them. "Distance to the signal source?" she asked. "Approximately 60 light-years, Captain. We could reach them in 8 days if we push the engines." Sarah looked around at her crew. They were supposed to be explorers, not rescuers. But the idea of letting millions of innocent beings die when they had the power to help was unthinkable. "Science. Officer Park, what can you tell me about this Aquatica Prime?" Lieutenant Commander Park pulled up the stellar charts. "It's in an unexplored sector, Captain. No records of contact with Earth or any known human colonies. But the radiation storm they mentioned is real. Our long-range sensors can detect it from here. Massive cosmic event that will indeed strip away a planet's atmosphere." Sarah made her decision. "Set course for Aquatica Prime, maximum speed, and send a message back on the same frequency. Tell them help is coming." The gentle meet the strong 8 days later. The UES Thunderstrike dropped out of hyperspace above Aquatica Prime. The sight that greeted them was both beautiful and terrifying. The planet was a perfect blue marble covered almost entirely by oceans, but massive radiation storms could be seen approaching from the outer system, like a wall of deadly energy. "Captain, we're being hailed," Rodriguez reported. The main screen flickered to life, and the bridge crew got their first look at an alien species. Ambassador Kaya appeared before them, floating in what was clearly an underwater environment. Her jellyfish-like appearance was both graceful and otherworldly, with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed with her emotions. "Thank you for responding to our call," Kaya began, her translated voice filled with gratitude and hope. "I am Ambassador Kaya of the Zephyrian people. Are you from the Galactic Union?" Sarah stepped forward. "I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Thunderstrike. We're not part of any Galactic Union. We're from Earth, about 60 light-years from here. We received your distress signal and came to help." Kaya's bioluminescent patterns shifted to what the translation computer interpreted as confusion and concern. "Earth? But that designation is not in our records. What type of world do you come from?" "Earth is what we call a terrestrial planet," Sarah explained. "Rocky surface, diverse climate zones, standard gravity and atmosphere. We evolved as land-dwelling mammals." The change in Kaya's patterns was immediate and alarming. Her gentle glow shifted to rapid flashing patterns of blue and purple that the computer couldn't fully translate. "A land world," Kaya whispered. "With standard gravity? What is your planet's classification in terms of environmental hazard?" Sarah frowned at the strange question. "I'm not sure what you mean. Earth has some challenging environments, but humans have adapted to live almost everywhere." Science Officer Park stepped forward. "Captain, I'm reading some concerning data about their world. The gravity here is only about 0.4 Earth standard, and their atmospheric pressure is significantly lower than what we're used to. To them, Earth would be considered an extremely hostile environment." The realization hit Sarah like a lightning bolt. To these gentle aquatic beings, humans were from a death world, a planet so harsh and dangerous that the species living there would be considered terrifying by galactic standards. The Death World revelation. Ambassador Kaya retreated slightly in her chamber, her patterns now showing clear fear alongside the gratitude. "You are from a high-gravity world with dense atmosphere and dangerous surface conditions. This makes you what the galactic community calls Deathworlders." Deathworlders. Sarah repeated the term, not liking how it sounded. "Species that evolve on extremely hazardous worlds," Kaya explained, her voice becoming smaller. "They develop enhanced physical capabilities and aggressive survival instincts. The last time our people encountered a Deathworld species." She paused, her patterns flickering with what looked like traumatic memories. Sarah realized that despite coming to help, their very presence was terrifying these peaceful beings. But she also understood that without human intervention, the Zephyrians would all die. "Ambassador Kaya," Sarah said gently, "I understand why you might be afraid, but I give you my word. We're here only to help. My crew and I will do everything in our power to save your people, and we expect nothing in return except the knowledge that we prevented a tragedy." The alien's pattern slowly shifted back toward hope, though the fear remained. "Your vessel is very large. How many of our people could you evacuate?" Park ran the numbers quickly. "The Thunderstrike has emergency capacity for about 50,000 individuals, assuming we convert all available space and set up life support for aquatic beings." Kaya's bioluminescent display exploded with light. 50,000? But that is only a fraction of our population." "It's a start," Sarah said firmly. "And we've already sent word back to Earth. More ships are coming, lots more ships. The human race doesn't abandon people in need, no matter who they are or where they come from." For the first time since the conversation began, Kaya's patterns showed something that looked like pure amazement rather than fear. Preparing for the impossible. Over the next several hours, human engineers worked frantically to modify sections of the Thunderstrike for aquatic life support. The Zephyrians watched in awe as humans in powered exoskeletons moved through space with incredible speed and efficiency, installing massive water tanks and circulation systems that would have taken Zephyrian biotechnology weeks to grow. Dr. Martinez, the ship's chief medical officer, worked directly with Zephyrian healers to understand their biological needs. "Their physiology is actually quite robust," she reported to Captain Chen. "The main challenge is maintaining the right water, chemistry, and pressure." Meanwhile, the approaching radiation storm continued to grow stronger. What had originally been estimated as a few weeks away was now clearly going to arrive in just days. "Captain," called Park from the science station, "I'm detecting multiple ships entering the system. Configuration unknown, but they're definitely not human." Sarah felt a knot form in her stomach. The Galactic Union? Possibly. 7 vessels total, approaching in formation. They're hailing us. The face that appeared on screen was unlike anything the humans had seen before. The being had a hard chitinous shell and compound eyes that reflected the bridge lights like mirrors. When it spoke, its translated voice carried an unmistakable tone of authority and displeasure. "Unknown vessels, you are in violation of Galactic Union space. Identify yourselves immediately and state your purpose in this restricted sector." Sarah straightened, drawing on all her diplomatic training. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Thunderstrike. We are here on a humanitarian mission to evacuate the Zephyrian people from their dying world. Earth is not a recognized member world of the Galactic Union," the alien replied coldly. "Your presence here is unauthorized. Furthermore, our records indicate that Earth is classified as a Class 5 death world. Species from such worlds are prohibited from contact with peaceful civilizations without proper supervision." "Prohibited?" Sarah's voice rose with indignation. "These people are going to die if they're not evacuated immediately." "The Galactic Union is aware of the Zephyrian situation," the alien continued. "Appropriate measures will be taken according to established protocols. You will withdraw from this system immediately or face the consequences." As the communication ended, Sarah realized that not only were they racing against time to save the Zephyrians, but they now had to contend with a galactic government that saw humans as too dangerous to be trusted with a rescue mission. The Thunderstrikes. Crew looked to their captain, waiting for orders. In the distance, the radiation storm continued its relentless approach toward Aquatica Prime. While somewhere in the planet's oceans, millions of gentle beings waited to learn if the terrifying Deathworlders who had come to save them would be allowed to complete their mission. Sarah Chen had never backed down from a fight in her life, and she wasn't about to start now. The Deathworlders arrive. The fleet arrives. 3 days after the confrontation with the Galactic Union, space around Aquatica Prime suddenly blazed with the light of emerging starships. Captain Sarah Chen smiled grimly as she watched the sensor readings flood her screens. Humanity had answered the call. 37 vessels and counting, reported Communications Officer Rodriguez, his voice filled with pride. Everything from military cruisers to converted cargo haulers. Even some civilian ships volunteered for the mission. The sight was magnificent and terrifying in equal measure. The human rescue fleet looked nothing like the elegant, peaceful vessels typically seen in this part of the galaxy. These were ships built by a species that had clawed its way up from a harsh world through countless wars and disasters. Every hull was reinforced, every weapon system functional, every crew trained for the worst possible scenarios. Admiral Jackson's voice crackled over the comm from the flagship UES Defiance. "Chen, what's our situation down there?" Sarah brought him up to speed quickly. The radiation storm was now less than 18 hours away. The Galactic Union had ordered them to leave, and nearly 3 million Zephyrians still needed evacuation. "Understood," Jackson replied without hesitation. "All ships begin evacuation protocols immediately. Any Galactic Union vessel that interferes will be considered hostile." Ambassador Kaya floated in her communication chamber, watching in amazement as the human fleet spread out around her world. Each ship was larger and more heavily armed than anything in the Zephyrian memory banks. To her people, it looked like an invasion force rather than a rescue mission. "So many ships," she whispered to Elder Finn, who had joined her to witness the arrival. "They brought their entire military to save us." "That is not their military," came a new voice. Commander Torres from the UES Thunderstrike had been working with the Zephyrians for days and had become their primary human liaison. "This is just what we could gather on short notice. Most of these crews are volunteers, merchants, explorers, even some tourist ships that wanted to help." The revelation that this massive, intimidating fleet was composed largely of civilian volunteers shocked the Zephyrians into silence. The Galactic Union's Response High Admiral Vex of the Galactic Union Fleet watched the human arrivals with growing alarm. From the bridge of his flagship, the massive assemblage of human vessels looked like a barbarian horde preparing to sack a peaceful world. 37 combat vessels, reported his tactical officer, a nervous Altarian whose crystalline structure flickered with stress patterns, all of unknown design, all heavily armed. Their technology appears to be several generations ahead of our projections for a Death World species. Vex's mandibles clicked with agitation. The Galactic Union had dealt with Deathworlders before, always, with tragic results. Species that evolved on harsh worlds developed aggressive tendencies and military technologies that made them dangerous to peaceful civilizations. The last time they had allowed Deathworlders to help during a crisis, an entire peaceful species had been enslaved. "Open a channel to all human vessels," Vex ordered. "Wide broadcast." When the communication opened, he found himself facing not one captain but a dozen human faces on split screens. Each one looked determined, confident, and utterly unintimidated by his show of authority. "I am High Admiral Vex of the Galactic Union Peacekeeping Force," he announced. "You are in violation of 17 different galactic accords regarding Deathworld species contact protocols. You will withdraw immediately or face military action." The humans exchanged glances before Admiral Jackson responded. "Admiral Vex, I'm Admiral Jackson of the United Earth Space Force. With respect, we're here on a humanitarian mission. These people will die if we don't evacuate them in the next few hours. The Galactic Union is handling the situation according to proper protocols," Vex replied coldly. "Our evacuation ships will arrive within the next cycle." "Your evacuation ships," said Captain Chen, leaning forward, "won't arrive for another 3 days. The radiation storm hits in 18 hours. By the time your proper protocols save anyone, there won't be anyone left to save." Vex's compound eyes glittered with anger. "Deathworlders cannot be trusted with such operations. Your species' aggressive nature makes you unsuitable for peaceful rescue missions." The response came not from the military commanders, but from Captain Maria Santos of the converted cargo vessel Peacebringer. "Admiral, my ship normally carries medical supplies to colony worlds. My crew includes teachers, doctors, and engineers. We're not here to conquer anyone. We're here because people are dying and we can help." The rescue begins. Despite the Galactic Union's protests, the human evacuation began immediately. The Zephyrians watched in amazement as human crews worked with efficiency that bordered on the miraculous. Giant cargo shuttles designed to move equipment across asteroid mining operations were converted into passenger transports. Medical frigates that normally serviced space stations were reconfigured to support aquatic life. Even luxury cruise ships had been pressed into service, their entertainment decks flooded to create temporary habitats for the refugees. Dr. Martinez led a team of xenobiologists in rapid consultation with Zephyrian healers. "We need to understand their life support requirements perfectly," she explained to her human colleagues. "One mistake in water chemistry or pressure, and we could kill the very people we're trying to save." The Zephyrians were initially terrified of the humans in their bulky environmental suits, but as the evacuation progressed, their fear began to transform into wonder. These supposedly violent Deathworlders worked with gentle precision when handling Zephyrian civilians, especially the elderly and young. Engineer First Class Thompson, a massive man whose powered exoskeleton made him look like a mechanical giant, carefully lifted a group of Zephyrian children into an evacuation pod. His huge hands, which could crush steel, moved with incredible gentleness as he made sure each child was safely secured. "Why do you help us?" asked one of the young Zephyrians, her bioluminescent patterns showing curiosity rather than fear. Thompson's voice was soft through his suit's speakers. "Because it's the right thing to do, little one. No child should have to fear dying because the adults couldn't figure out how to work together." The storm approaches as the evacuation continued. The approaching radiation storm grew more violent. Space itself seemed to twist and writhe as the cosmic phenomenon drew closer to Aquatica Prime. The Zephyrian scientists who remained on the planet worked frantically to monitor its approach. 12 hours until impact," announced Chief Scientist Nemo, his patterns flickering with exhaustion and stress. "The leading edge is already beginning to affect our outer atmosphere." Captain Chen coordinated the rescue from the Thunderstrike's bridge. Her attention divided between evacuation reports and the increasingly dangerous space conditions around the planet. "Status report," she called out. 2,300,000 evacuated so far," Rodriguez responded. "But the shuttles are reporting increased radiation interference. It's getting harder to maintain safe flight paths." "Captain," called Science Officer Park urgently. "The Galactic Union fleet is moving to intercept our evacuation shuttles. They're trying to stop the rescue." On the main screen, they could see Galactic Union vessels positioning themselves between the human ships and the planet. Admiral Vex's voice came over the communication channel. "Human vessels, you are ordered to cease all evacuation activities immediately. Your interference with established protocols cannot be tolerated." Sarah felt her temper flare. "Admiral, there are still hundreds of thousands of people down there. The Galactic Union will handle the remaining evacuations according to proper procedures," Vex replied. "There isn't time for proper procedures," Sarah shot back. "That storm hits in 12 hours. The stand what happened next became legendary among human crews throughout the galaxy. Admiral Jackson's voice came over the fleet communication channel, calm and absolutely determined. "All human vessels, this is Admiral Jackson. We have a choice to make. We can follow orders from a government we don't recognize and let innocent people die, or we can do what humans have always done. Stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves." One by one, the human captains responded. "The Meridian stands ready, Admiral. Peacebringer is with you. The Salvation won't abandon them now." 37 human vessels moved into defensive positions around Aquatica Prime, placing themselves between the Galactic Union fleet and the evacuation shuttles. It was a standoff that could have led to the first interstellar war involving humanity. Admiral Vex found himself facing a situation he had never encountered. Deathworlders were supposed to be aggressive and unpredictable, but their aggression was usually directed toward conquest or resources. These humans were risking war with a galactic superpower to save people they had never met before. "You would fight the entire Galactic Union for these creatures?" Vex asked, genuine confusion in his translated voice. Admiral Jackson's response was simple and profound. "We would fight anyone who tries to stop us from saving innocent lives. That's what it means to be human." The final hours, as the radiation storm entered its final approach, The evacuation became a desperate race against time. Human shuttles flew through increasingly dangerous conditions, their pilots pushing their ships to the absolute limit to save every possible life. Captain Elena Vasquez of the exploration vessel New Horizons made the last evacuation run personally. Her shuttle was loaded beyond safe capacity with Zephyrian refugees when the storm's leading edge finally reached the planet's atmosphere. "I'm losing power," she reported over the comm, her voice steady despite the crisis. "Radiation is overwhelming. The shields." "Elena, abort and return to ship," Admiral Jackson ordered. "Negative, Admiral. I've got 43 souls aboard, including younglings. We're making it home." The entire human fleet watched as Vasquez's shuttle fought its way through the radiation storm, her engines failing one by one. In the end, she had to make a controlled crash landing in the Thunderstrike's hangar bay. But every single refugee aboard survived. When the final count was complete, the humans had evacuated 2,847,000 Zephyrians, nearly the entire population. Only a few thousand individuals who had chosen to stay behind to maintain essential systems were lost when the radiation storm finally hit. The aftermath in the days that followed, word of the human rescue spread throughout the galaxy. The Zephyrians, safe aboard human vessels, began to understand that the beings they had feared as Deathworlders were actually protectors, a species that had learned compassion through hardship. Ambassador Kaya floated in a specially constructed chamber aboard the UES Thunderstrike, speaking with Captain Chen about the future. "We have no way to repay you for what you have done," Kaya said, her pattern showing deep gratitude mixed with lingering amazement. Sarah smiled. "We don't want repayment, but we would like to offer you something, a new home. Earth has vast oceans that could support your people, and there are dozens of water worlds in human space that need colonists. You would share your territory with us?" Kaya asked, shocked. "The galaxy is big enough for everyone," Sarah replied. "And frankly, after seeing how the Galactic Union operates, I think humanity needs friends who share our values." The Galactic Union's response to the rescue was mixed. Some member species were appalled that humans had been willing to risk war to save strangers. Others began to question whether the Union's rigid protocols were more important than preserving life. Admiral Vex himself submitted a report that would change galactic policy forever. The humans designated as Deathworlders have demonstrated that survival adaptations can produce not just warriors, but also guardians. Their willingness to risk everything for the preservation of innocent life suggests that our classifications may need revision. New alliances. 6 months later, the first Zephyrian colony ships arrived at their new home in the Kepler system, escorted by human naval vessels. The aquatic beings had chosen to settle on a world the humans called Haven, a water world with perfect conditions for their species. The partnership that emerged between humans and Zephyrians became a model for interspecies cooperation. Zephyrian biotechnology combined with human engineering created wonders that neither species could have achieved alone. More importantly, their alliance demonstrated to the galaxy that Deathworlders and peaceful species could not only coexist, but thrive together. Captain Sarah Chen, now promoted to Admiral and serving as humanity's first galactic ambassador, stood with Ambassador Kaya on the observation deck of the joint research station they had built together. Through the viewport they could see human and Zephyrian children playing together in the station's aquatic gardens. "Do you ever regret sending that distress call?" Sarah asked. Kaya's bioluminescent patterns showed pure happiness. "Never. We called for help, and the Deathworlders came. We expected to be saved by the gentle species of the galaxy, but instead we were rescued by those who had learned gentleness through strength." The rescue of Aquatica Prime became the founding moment of what historians would later call the Guardian Alliance, a coalition of species dedicated to the principle that no one should face extinction alone. And at its heart were the humans, the Deathworlders who had proven that sometimes the most dangerous species in the galaxy are also the most compassionate. When other civilizations faced disasters in the years that followed, they knew who to call. The humans would come no matter the cost, no matter the danger, because that's what it meant to be human, to stand between the innocent and the darkness, whatever form that darkness might take.